Welcome, Walnut. I'm Lara, but you can call me Laz, your host for Walnut Wednesday. This is your reminder to be brave, be yourself, and know that you can make the world a better place just by what you decide today. Here, I'm going to share my weekly walnuttings with you on a Wednesday. Hello, Walnut. It is me, Laz, here for another episode of Walnut Wednesday. For the episode this week and my walnutting this week, which is a little bit old, but I just want you to put your seatbelt on and disclaimer that this episode is not intended to scare you. If it is not meant to be scary, and it is very in the esoteric woo-woo land on the woo-woo train. So if you're not down with the Laz crystal crazy lady conversations, no hard feelings, and I will talk to you next Walnut Wednesday. This week, Walnut, I want to share with you, I finally had a little bit of time to percolate my kind of healership journey. So a little bit of background: I am a Reiki master. So I have my certificate in level 1, 2, and 3 in Reiki, which is an energetic healing tool, I guess. And I've talked about it on the podcast before, so you're probably very familiar, but Reiki my healership journey has always paralleled alongside my walnut journey. And I will ever be grateful for this modality that it came into my life you can go back to previous episodes and find out the backstory of how it found me and how it started and everything like that. But basically, I am at a point, and especially through the year that I have had, where I've had mass Weltschmerz sagas and intense shadow work and a lot of mastery of negative energy and shadow work, which is like a bit of a buzzword in the woo-woo community, but a lot of shadow come up, a lot of looming, glooming, like the devil major arcana tarot card, right? So this year has been quite transformative energetically, and I've alluded to it many, many, many times, but this year I've kind of been stepping a little bit more into my teachership, and that as a Reiki master, you kind of, I'm doing air quotes, are at the stage where you're allowed to teach Reiki. And I've never really felt ready to call myself a teacher in a healing modality. But my healings are stronger, they're getting deliciouser, I'm finding my own way, and they're beautiful. But this is my walnutting, right? I came across a TikTok video that said why you should never have Reiki done on you or never do Reiki. And I was like, what the hell? Now, past Laz from a year or two ago wouldn't have even looked at this video, right? But because of all the work I've done in sort of dualicalness, how I'm noticing just a surge of entities popping up and lots of D words and all the things, which sounds scary, but I'm a master. I am strong. I am whole. I am beautiful, and I am of light. Noticing all of this stuff, I got curious. I was like, okay, why? What the hell? My Reiki is delicious. So my healings have always been delicious. So what the hell? Why would? Okay. Anyway, so I watched this video, and it's a 3-part video, and basically this dude, he's explaining, and this is where I get to the point, Walnut, where I don't want to scare you. If you have had a healing from me, my intention is pure, divine, and delicious. Have no fear. And you'll know, because after the healing, you've always, felt how you feel. So I just want you to know this is not to scare you. So please listen to this with I think this is why I've struggled with wanting to talk about this for so long, Walnut, because I've been concerned about you, and I haven't wanted to, I didn't want to bring a fear base into it. I'm not scared. I do not have fear. I have full, this sounds really strange to say, but I have full trust and faith and knowing in myself and in my healing. So please know that you are safe. You are safe. I am safe. We are safe, and we are of light and delicious, light frequency. Okay. So he goes on to say about how he got a Reiki healing and he just felt this darkness come over him and la 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 la. And basically, so Reiki originates in Japan. And the man who made Reiki, and I'm not a fact person, so this is all on Google if you need like more information, but I am just give me the little factual points. But basically, like human design and all of the other magical, wonderful modalities, the man who made Reiki climbed up a mountain and meditated and downloaded the whole Reiki system. Sound familiar? Yeah. So Reiki man, I don't know his name. I should learn this and, be honoring my masters and ascended masters and all the things. But, there's a lot in my brain. And do I need to know this other than this podcast episode? And whenever I talk about the history of Reiki, only like 3 times in my life. So anyway, I digress. Reiki man climbed to the top of the mountain, did some meditations and downloaded the Reiki and then came and taught it. And then it kind of got like transferred onto the Western world. And this is the thing as well, Walnut, right? So Reiki coming into the Western world as well was developed by a woman, and I can't remember her name, so we can have Reiki man and Reiki woman. She took it to the West, and she kind of zhuzhed it up with a little bit of like Christian lingo to make it more appealing, I suppose, to a Western audience, right? So just know with modalities and with things, you pull and you take from, historically, you take little threads of different things and you weave it into how to translate it to either a different audience, different people, different times, different ages, right? So this guy on TikTok who said you should never do Reiki, he kind of mentioned that the mountain that the Reiki man climbed up on is actually named after a D word. And the name of the mountain, named after the D word, is actually, he didn't meditate. He went up there, met with name of mountain D word, and made an exchange into getting the gifts of healing in exchange for like his soul or, something like that. So he suggests that Reiki was given to Reiki man in exchange with an entity, because Reiki is the only modality around that uses sigils and symbols and stuff, right? So I kind of was like, okay. I went to 2 of my teachers. One teacher went into the Akashic records about it and was like, yes, there was an exchange made. And because this is me, Walnut, I am a line 1 investigator. I like to hear all the different points of view. And then my Reiki teacher sort of said like, and this is kind of like the thing I took from it, is that everything sort of comes from intention, right? Because I was like, oh my God, have I been putting like demonic sigils everywhere? But what my teacher said from the Akashic records was that this exchange was made in genuine, like, I am living in hardship and I want to heal the people around me, right? So if, and you take this as far as you want to, Walnut, you make up the assumption from your mind and take what you will from this. But for me, what it translated to sort of was like, everything we do in exchange, right? And it also pointed out to me that you can't just take anything for face value. Everything has a history, everything has a meaning, and everything has threads of other things sort of linked to it. I mean, you can look at all the different religions and how they all have one or two, similar recurring themes, right? So everything gets translated into different ways for different audiences. And it reminds me of, and I think I have talked about this on the podcast as well, Walnut, is that that meatloaf story. Have I told you the story of the meatloaf? I'm pretty sure I have. About this woman was like, it's my family's tradition, it's been for donkey's years, we always cut the ends off the meatloaf. And then someone was like, why? And she was like, I don't actually know, it's just a family tradition, we've all done it, all the women in my family, it's like blah, blah, blah. She talked to like her mom, her grandma, they didn't know. And she finally like managed to talk to like an auntie or something who found out that for generations, years and years and years and years and years of this magical meatloaf where they cut the ends off, literally waste the two ends of a meatloaf, was because way back when, all those generations back, the great grandmother or whoever was cooking the bloody meatloaf at the time cut it off because the oven was too small. So for years and years and years, no one had questioned why and asked, and had been chopping off the ends of the meatloaf, thinking it was like this grand like story and la la la. And that's what this kind of like thing reminds me of, right? Is, I don't know, I think for me it was just really good to hear that. And it actually made me sort of strengthen myself, because Reiki came to me as a tool and as you know, my training wheels into my healership. And now I'm morphing into teachership, where I am learning my own interpretation, my own little threads of this and that into my healings and the way I run things, to go on to potentially either teach or just integrate fully into my healings. So it's kind of, I don't really know how I'm going to come full circle with the story, Walnut. I've actually been, now that I'm talking it out loud, it feels so much less like snowballed or threatening than I had in my head, because I was just so afraid of freaking you out. And I know deep in my heart and in all the things, it is not the case. I use Reiki as a tool and as a modality, but the intention, when you peel everything away and all the things that get done and how you get trained and everything, the intention is that I am in service and I am a healer. Right? So whether the tradition, like the story that this man says is true and that you shouldn't, that is an opinion, and pull the different threads and opinions of this guy's life, this TikTok man's life that he is sharing. It is not set in stone, concrete, like legit advice. It is just a story he researched and heard and got told and is sharing. And like I say, Walnut, I think had it been a year or two ago, I would have been like, ugh, pish posh. Everything I have learned is like set in stone gold and cannot be different from this, because that is the rules. And I obviously watched it during this time because I'm learning so much about the grungier, more darker versions of the things, and knowing that Reiki man, whether he, you know, like there could be so many alternatives, right? Story time from TikTok man suggests that there was an entity and there was an exchange made, and it's all very evil and looming and bad. You know, then my readers, sorry, I'm just going to have a sip of cough. Then my teacher said like, it was an exchange made from like genuineness, because coming from poverty and stuff, he wanted to like heal the world. You know, then people are like, oh, the mountain is named after the D word. It's not actually the D word. You know, there's so many versions of how it happened. He could have been in meditation. It could have just been a dream. He could have not even meditated at all, you know? But yet this like modality and this tool sort of lives on. But okay, that's where I was getting at. Basically, I am at a place now where I am able to open my eyes and ears to different versions and different stories, because I know the strength that I have in myself as a healer. And to be able to morph and change it into I feel like something does not want me to speak. To morph into my own version of my healership and take the tools. I've always said this, Walnut, you know, take the tools that work for me and integrate them into my own sort of version. And that's like my one of my Reiki teachers. She does she teaches the Reiki level 4, which is not traditional in the sense of it. You go to 3 and that's kind of it. She's created her own level 4, which talks more to entities and psychic surgeries and all, as I mentioned, it's very esoteric, and talks all of these things. So like for me, it was like, well, why do I have to use the rule book of Reiki? I can take the bits that work for me, and I don't need to like stick to those. Obviously I needed to for these many years integrate it so it's like, so I could get the hang of the healership. But like I said, the modality itself and the it's not rules, but the suggestions that kind of come with it, the guidelines, that was like having my training wheels on as a healer, like I mentioned. Now I'm kind of like, I feel like they're already off. I have the training wheels just sort of like sitting there, and it's about, how do I want to steer the bike? Where do I want to go? Like my intention is pure. I know I definitely am a bike rider. I know I'm definitely going to ride somewhere. I know that I might ride in service of other people, but I am whole, and I am light, and I am amazing. I believe in myself. So it's just about the other things. So that's kind of where I'm at with this, Walnut. I would love to know what you think of this episode, if you've managed to listen to all the way through. I do apologize, Walnut, that I didn't do notes, and this is a little bit more longer than a typical solo episode, but I feel like there were so many extra connotations that come along with this episode, and I feel like there's more I want to speak to on entities and things like that. And I know I allude to this all the time, but I genuinely think that this kind of like duality is part of my healership and why I am here. Not to say I'm like the Buffy the Vampire Slayer of all healers, but I feel like I have stepped into a different vibration where I see other things and feel other things, more than just your love and light and your happiness. I see like the flip other end of the spectrum. And while it sounds like it's scary, and I am a horror movie buff, so like obviously when people used to mention that kind of stuff to me, I used to like shit my pants. It is the strength of the self, as a healer, that is making it seem less intimidating or scary. So I guess my walnutting this week, Walnut, is I feel strong, I feel strength, I feel powerful as a healer, and I feel like I am morphing more and more into a teacher while still being in service, while still having the healing and loving vibrations. I'm noticing and picking up on all the lower grungier vibrations too, and I think that they can sort of tell. It's also the time at the moment. There's just quite a surge of like all sorts of like shit hitting the fan in different like dimensionals and stuff, which I think you could probably attest to, Walnut, by all the feelings that have been felt at present, just on like a 3D human like muggle, as my friend says, level. So that's my walnutting this week. Walnut is, I have true, authentical, genuine trust in who I am as a healer, and I know how powerful I am. And that is something in my pre-Reiki level 1 or even level 2 or whatever, like even last year, I would have never truly realized until I saw the video of the TikTok man giving me a different perspective. So yeah, I feel like I was really divinely like orchestrated to find that video and get that point of view and learn that story, because if anything, it made me kind of like go to talk to teachers and things like that and also get their opinion. But it solidified like following my sacral, following my true like self-leadership, self-knowership, self-ownership. It pushed me inward to myself and what I genuinely know to be true and what I choose to know to be true, or what I choose to how I choose to behave in that knowing to be true. Waffly as, but that's my picture this week, Walnut. That's my walnutting. Thank you so much for listening to this. I hope I haven't freaked you out, and please know. So in finding all this out, my brain basically exploded with like knowledge and information. Like, this has really like changed the whole level of my healership. I removed my healings from my website. I removed it from everywhere. It's still live, so if you want to book, just let me know. But I kept it for just in the walnut tree only, and if people message me about it, because I really wanted to process how I wanted to do this. Like, do I still want to label it a Reiki healing, or do I just want to call it a healing? And I'm still kind of going through that. So if you want a healing walnut, just message me and we'll figure it out, and you can book it in. I am still magic. I'm still delicious. It is still energy work at the end of the day. But that's the road I'm going down, is finding my own walnut path for this, and having my own way of translating all the things I have learned, all the modalities that I've got in my little woo-woo toolkit in aid of service, of serving you, and of healership and healing. So yeah, on that note, Walnut, yeah, like I say, I hope I haven't freaked you out. Please let me know what you think of this episode. Please come back to the walnut tree when you hear this. Know that you are safe, you are light, we are fine, we are amazing, and I am strong. So I've got this for us if you don't feel, all of those things that I just listed. Okay? I've got this for us. I promise. Please let me know what you think of this episode. I'm just like, I've been a bit nervous about really making you feel fear, and there is nothing to fear. I promise. I promise. Happy Walnut Wednesday, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.